Hi, everyone.
Everybody. Welcome to the Tuesday night KnitChat Cafe. My name's Noelle.
I'm Kelly.
And we are a mostly knitting podcast coming to you from Southwestern Ontario, Canada.
You know what we don't say that we should say when we introduce ourselves too? We're actually friends that met in a yarn store.
Oh, yeah. We're friends that met in a yarn store. There, we said it. And yeah, so welcome, everybody. We see a lot of people have been having a little chat already. That's great. And thanks, Julia. Julia says everybody can see us and hear us.
Thank you.
We think, we're never sure because people were in here so early, but we think that Frankie was here first, but she was having a chat with Glenda and Elizabeth. And Elizabeth is from the UK. So I know sometimes we've got people that check in from across the pond that can't necessarily join us live because it's pretty late there, because Jasmine was in here and she's from Austria.
Wow.
And who else was other? Linda was from the UK. Julia was from Switzerland. So yeah, so hopefully if they can't stay for the whole chat tonight, they can catch up with us later.
Yes. So. Yes. And Isabel's in here and she says 3 more dodos until we meet in I was going to say Montreal again. No, until we meet in Toronto.
Yeah. I don't have time to sleep. I have too much stuff I have to get done.
Yes, I know.
Last week was a busy week.
Tomorrow's a sort of packing, organizing day for me. And I've got to get, especially the electronics, because we obviously want to get some footage to show everybody when we come back. And so I've got to pack up the electronics and the filming equipment and make sure I have all of the right cords. It'd be great if there was just like one cord that worked every single device, but that's not the way it is.
Just be too easy.
Yeah, that would be too easy. So yes, so much to do. And we are driving this time, so we get to bring full-size bags. And we
Kelly, like we bring full-size bags when we take the train too. So
I think we not use a carry-on bag.
No,
one time.
We did not. When?
One
time.
We
went for one night.
Well, I feel like I have more options. And you know what? It's, I've been kind of sitting on this thinking, okay, what are we going to wear? It's like, this is for us, this is like the beginning of knitwear season. So this is sort of our first live event that we get to go to of this year, the first big event. So it's excited to see. It's kind of like the red carpet of sweaters, and I want to see what everybody's wearing. And I've been like sitting on the fence. What should I bring? What should I bring? And then the weather keeps changing. But as of now, it's going to be cool. It's going to be very cool. So possibly some short sleeves for inside.
Yeah, that doesn't mean it's going to be cool inside.
That's right. So some short sleeves for inside, but then we can bring some woolly things for when we leave the hotel to go out, to get some food or to go out to some other yarn stores or whatnot. So yeah, I'm ridiculously excited about Knit City. So excited.
Yeah. So anyway, it's going to be here before we know it. Like we kept talking about it, and now it's like this week. So.
And, also it's the expectations we place on ourselves. I don't know why. I mean, I've known for a year it was coming. It's not a great surprise, but do I feel ready? No. And why don't I feel ready? It's not like I have any deadline to meet for anything, but, it's just these things. Oh, I wanted to have a couple of extra sweaters knit or something. And realistically, everything we have is perfectly fine.
Yeah. Yep. I might even bring some of the sparkle back, because really those are the only times I get to wear it.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's right. And what better place to wear sparkle than to a yarn festival?
Exactly.
Absolutely.
So, anyway, I just wanted to say, I just was looking at some of the notes or some of the comments, what people were talking. And I want to say that Jana, I hope that your battery is working now. Jana said she was stuck at a gas station in the middle of nowhere in Arkansas with a dead battery. And she's checking in with us.
So I hope she had knitting.
I hope she had knitting. And Jen, I hope you get that sorted out. I don't even know what time it is in Arkansas, but I hope you get it sorted out and get home before it gets dark. I don't know why you have to get home before it gets dark, but you don't want to be with a dead battery in the middle of nowhere at night.
A few people are chiming in. Dorothy says she's about an hour south of where she is. Yeah. Marianne said she wore sparkles on the golf course. And Marianne, I saw that photo. Yes,
There you
you did
go.
wear sparkles on the golf course. You can wear them anywhere.
Yeah, so I might just wear them. But I just want to say, I'm going to tell everybody, I actually bought a sweater today. I have so few purchased sweaters because I've gradually like replaced them with sweaters that I knit. And I don't normally even really look at sweaters, but this one was just there. I was, and it's just at Old Navy. I was at Old Navy. I was just looking for some things, and these sweaters kind of caught my eye, but the colors didn't really appeal to me. And then stuck right at the back, there was one sweater that was orange, and it was my size. So that was,
and we all know that you have a shortage of sweaters. You know, you needed to buy one.
I'm sorry, that was karma. That was karma, but it's really cute.
Show it off. It's cute. I will. It is cute.
So here's my sweater that I just bought today. It's 100% cotton. So, and I absolutely love the color of it, and I just couldn't resist it. So
it looks like you could have knit it yourself. Yeah, it's very pretty. Yeah.
So
very pretty.
So once in a while, and I thought there's a sweater that I have already, and I didn't have to knit it. Though
that's right. Something new to wear. There we go.
That's right.
Just stick some knitting needles in it, kind of hang off the one end.
That's right. I'm just going to put a cord in it, and then everybody
or put one of your hand knit by Noelle tags on.
That's right. Exactly. So anyway, I do have an all over mesh. I do have my look at my holes.
You do.
So, but that one's a little bit closer together and a little, I don't know. I just thought it would be like nice for in the evening to throw over if you had a tank top on or something. And yeah. And I seem to be knitting things that are not for me. So, and I have a few more things on my list that I have to get done. So.
Right. Oh, Pam, that's too bad. Pam says she was so looking forward to going to Knit City, Toronto, but knee surgery has sidelined her. Well, I know there is a Knit City Calgary coming up, and then there's also still Knit City Vancouver. I don't know where you're coming from, Pamela, or if you were just really close to Toronto. But I think if you're looking for Toronto, I think it's going to be two years
because I think
they're going to alternate.
Montreal.
I think with Montreal.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, okay. So we should get started. So did you have any questions this week?
Yes, I got one this afternoon, actually. A viewer reached out to me and said that she inadvertently washed some socks and the red bled into the white, and she wants to know if there's anything she can do after the fact. I'm not entirely sure that anything will work at this point, but something that you could try. I pulled these out. I've got these when I'm washing any wools that I think might have a chance of running. These are the the original Dr. Beckman color collectors, and they look just like a bounce sheet. You can get these. I got these at a yarn store. So they look just like a little bounce sheet that you throw in when you wash, and they're supposed to suck up all the color and keep it from going in places that you don't want it to go. I've had other people tell us that they can get them on Amazon as well, just look for color catchers, or even some people have found them just in their grocery store in the laundry detergent aisle. So you could try.
I don't know. Will it do that? Will it help after the fact though?
Well,
like if it's already soaked into the white. I mean, I don't know. I mean, you might as well try, right?
Well, honestly, this, strangely enough, it says you separate color protection in every wash. So it says if you separate your whites from colors, but you don't always separate the colored wash, as a result, thousands of stray color and dirt molecules can become attached to your clothing. So it sounds like you can kind of toss these in after the fact. I don't know.
But isn't that why you use it though, so that doesn't happen?
Yes, I know, but they're saying as a result, if you didn't catch something and then their thing, maybe, I don't know. I mean,
let us know, because if it works, that would be great.
At this point, the damage has been done. So these aren't going to hurt it by any means. So you could try that. I don't know if anybody else in here has any other suggestions. I think that's all that I would know to try anyway. And the same thing happened to my son-in-law's socks this year. And I was supposed to take one of those out when I went. I completely forgot. So he's just going to live with it the way it is. He's completely okay. I'm the one who's not okay, but I'm not there and I won't see it. So
okay.
there we go.
Well, she's going to try us and let us know.
Okay. That'll be great.
So
I'm interested to
know. Yeah.
Yes.
So, okay. I had a couple of questions. Last week we were talking about sock blockers, and because you were saying that you wanted ones that were shorter ones to put shorty socks on.
Yes.
And
Yes.
we had some discussion in here about sock blockers, that there was a template online. So I actually went in and I looked for it. So
okay.
the template, I don't have the template, but I've got the website here. So if you go into the website is called, just a minute here. Okay. So there's a sock blocker. Just a minute. This is not cooperating.
Okay. While you get that, I'm going to just say this comment. Isabel.
So, sorry.
Oh, no, if you've got it, I can say it after.
So the sock blocker template, and it gives you, if you go in and you can click it, it brings you to, you have to look for it first. And I will put this link, the link directly to it in the show notes this week, but it's cyberseams.com. And there's actually, you can click on the link and it brings you to an actual template that you can print off and sketch out on. They tell you to do it on like that foam board stuff, or what was some of the other things that we had talked about you could do it on. Like, I'm pretty sure that is where Ross got like the foot sizes for the ones that he does for me out of the wood. Like, I think the template came from there.
Right.
So, but like, I mean, obviously the wood's much more solid, but you can do it on other things too. It doesn't necessarily have to be wood. It can be like that foam board that you can just then go around with an X-Acto knife and cut it out.
I think the ones that I made, actually, I got them. It was sort of like on some like more rigid plastic placemats that I found at the dollar store. And I cut 2 of them out and just kind of glued it together, and they were patterned. So kind of made it look pretty. I mean, they're not great, but they work.
Right.
So yeah. Oh, and that's what Kathleen says. She made a template on a plastic placemat from the dollar store. So yes, that's what I think I used a few years ago.
Yep.
And Haley's asking, Noelle, did you not ask Ross to make me some?
No, I didn't. He's been at work too. I haven't hardly seen him. He's gone again. I haven't seen him all day. He's gone again tonight.
Yes, I thought what I might do is get my husband on to making me some of the stainless, the wire ones that I like. I mean, I have a size that I like. My blue sock blocker, I really like that size. It's a good size for me. So he's got all of the equipment out in the garage to permanently shape and bend something, and then sort of set it into that position.
Those ones are nice too, because if you are actually blocking them and you want them to dry, you can hang them and you can get the airflow like through both sides of them. So,
yeah. So what I was going to say, Isabel was saying about if you soak them in very hot water without movement and use Dawn liquid soap. She said that it has helped her in the past. So that might be another way to save the socks.
Yeah.
So okay.
Okay. Did you have any other questions?
No, that was it.
Okay. I have a couple. We talked last week too. Someone had asked a question about where to place buttonholes, like if you're doing a cardigan sweater and how to place your buttonholes. So one of the comment was that make sure that if you're doing a cardigan that you want to have a button here right at your fullest bust, so that if you've got one above and below it, it's not gaping open. So you kind of want to have one placed there. Now, having said that, you know, if you've got one there, then where do you put the rest of your buttonhole? So I did have a viewer that sent me an email, and she had suggested this. It's a tool, and I think it's a lot of times it's used for sewing. So this is Simflex expanding sewing gauge, and so it stretches out, so you can put it along the side where you're going to put your buttons. And so let's say you wanted your full bust, so you could make sure that one of those was placed on the garment exactly where the full bust was, and then you can spread that out and pick how many buttons you want to have, and it'll show you where you need to place them in order for things to be placed evenly.
Oh, that's pretty handy.
that was one. And then there was another model that was just a little bit different. These I just found on Amazon. So this is another one, but it's like it's gauged so that when you spread that thing out, the increments are all even, right?
Nice.
So you could actually put that on your side and maybe mark where you're going to put the buttons or the buttonholes. So just a suggestion. I've not ever used one. You know, I'm always counting the rows and figuring out, but you know, sometimes even counting the rows, especially if you're doing a button band out this way,
right, may not be,
you may not have picked up the stitches exactly the same on this side as this side, right? Because you don't pick up every single stitch. So if you're counting rows and you're counting like the number of rows in between, that may not be accurate as far as where you're where you're going over to your button. And another thing to remember is, because I really want a knit to be finished nice. When you've got stripes, you need to make sure you're matching those stripes when you put those buttons in, because if you're just off a little, you know, even though it might be directly across and your hem's lined up at the bottom, it's going to look like you're off center if those buttons are not lined up with the stripes. So if you've got stripes, I don't know, it's a little bit more tricky. You've really got to make sure that when you close that up, all your stripes still align across the sweater.
It's the first thing my eyes go to if something is off kilter. We were watching, I don't even know what show it was. It was a show that was on TV, and somebody was in a plaid dress shirt. It was a woman. And it was just like not plaid, like tartany kind of plaid. Right. It was just like open squares, right? And this was a purchased shirt from a clothier of some sort, I'm guessing. And if it got past the store, I don't know how it got past wardrobe, because the lines in her shirt were off like by a good half an inch across the button placket. Okay. I couldn't even concentrate on the show. All I could look at was her shirt. That was so awkward looking. Yes. Yeah. Marianne's asking, what direction do you prefer your buttonholes? I like mine to be horizontal. I feel that's the safest way to encapsulate a button so that you're not, because if it's vertical, sometimes I think it could pull on the button band a little bit and sort of pull that buttonhole open. Whereas if it's horizontal, I think that's the safest. Well, I guess
it depends on it, but it sort of depends on how you're doing the button band too. If you're knitting it out like this. Well, true. Or knitting it up, right? Yeah. So I just prefer my buttonholes to be quite a bit smaller than the button, because they stretch out.
They do. They absolutely do. And I know what people
have done too, if they tend to loosen up a bit, is get some of that elastic thread and kind of go around on your inside and kind of tighten that up a bit. So, but I like mine at the very beginning to be so tight that I can barely get it over the button. Because like just enough to get it over the button, because it's going to loosen up. Yes. So, but.
Axie Knit says that she has the button spacer gadget, and she said the metal one is a little bit flimsy, but it does work. And she said it does. It's good though.
Yeah. So. Okay. Another question that I had was to us and how we did our photos and what we thought of natural light versus indoor light. And I know you take way more time doing your photos than I do, because basically I say, Ross, come out in the backyard and take some photos. So I can't say as to what he does. He takes all my photos. I usually only take them inside if the weather's too crappy to go outside. So most of the time they're outside, just because outside light is much
absolutely
better.
Which is why it sometimes takes me a while to get my finished photos up, because I am fussy about that. So like, firstly, I'm waiting for good light. I don't want excuse me, I don't want harsh sunlight. So I'm trying to find a cloudy day, but a bright day. And then I don't want it to be too windy. And, so like I'm waiting for all of these days. Right. And then
I don't do any of that.
I have to rely on somebody to go with me, unless I want to be outstanding in a field somewhere looking like a bit of a dork, jumping around in front of a tripod and trying to get I do my own sock photos, right? I will do those. I can control the sock photo for sure. But if it's sweaters or, the dresses that I make, I definitely try to get somebody to go along with me. This is something that my husband has kind of gotten into in the past year. He comes out and does most of the photography for me, and he's gotten pretty good. Now, all of that being said, I'm showing off 6 or 7 photos that finally meet my approval. There might be 50 bad ones, right? Because
Okay,
he's
and
just right there.
that was a question.
Yeah, he's just
Like how many photos to get
clicking
a
away, clicking away, and then I go through and I go like, yeah, crap, crap, crap. I'm very blinky. Probably 50% of the photos he takes, my eyes are like this. I'm a closed eye person. I don't know why. It's like he waits for me to blink and that's when he grabs the picture. So, and then the vest that I did last week, actually, my husband was at work and it was a gorgeous day. It was a perfect day. So my son is home from out of town now. Well, not home here, home in his own home, but home from being away. And I called him up and I said, hey buddy, are you busy? Do you want to come out and help me? And we had a great day. It was like a fun afternoon. We were out at this old barn that was falling down in this old shed. And so we took some pictures. He's quite proud of that. He said, I think I did pretty good. And I said, yes, you made me look very nice in those pictures. So yeah, I definitely, if I have to go inside, I mean, I do have lights because I mean, obviously I've got studio lights down here, but I don't want to move them around. It's just easier to leave everything set up the way it is. So I try to go near a window. My front window is good for like flat lay photographs. I can, set something up on the table that's in front of the window and just kind of like shoot down on it that way. And for most of my photos, like probably 99.9% of them, I use my iPhone now. I have big cameras, DSLRs, and they don't come out very often. The iPhone is so easy, and then I will just kind of drop that into Ravelry from there after I pick the ones I like, and we go from there. And they take great pictures. So
Yep. So
yeah.
Okay, so a next question was a viewer is she wants to design her own pattern and she wants to use some lace stitches in it. So she wanted a book or some kind of information just on lace stitches and not necessarily a pattern book. So one website that I go to, and I'm going to bring it in here. This is a website that I really like to use just for different stitches, and it's free. Now, of course, this is on my computer, so there's going to be ads. I can't do anything about the ads, but I'll bring it in here, and then I'll go and I'll show you some of the things that are in it. So this website is called knittingstitchpatterns.com. So on the opening page here, you can see this list down here, this menu. They've got all different stitches, like different types of stitches. So for instance, if I click on the knit purl stitches, it'll give me these stitches that are just basically comprised of doing knits and purls. So then if I go and click on a particular, just a minute here, a particular one, then it'll tell me down here, okay, so it's a multiple of 14 stitches plus 1. This particular pattern is an 18 row repeat, and then it'll give me what that particular pattern is, your 18 rows and exactly what it is. So and then there's also, so there is actually one category that is eyelet and lace stitches, and you can go in and you can see all the different, I mean, they don't have a ton here, but there's quite a few.
That's a pretty good, that's a really great resource.
And you can go in, like, for instance, in this one, this overlapping leaves. And again, it gives you, it's a multiple of 15 plus 2. So it means your repeat is 15, but you've probably got some end stitches, which is your plus 2. And it's a 20 row repeat. So if you're putting this into something, then, like your whatever piece you're doing has to be a multiple of 15 stitches plus an extra 2 stitches. Right. So it's a great place to go. Like if you're trying to just, like you want to put, even if you want to put something on a sock, right? So, and if you go through them all, there's different slip stitches, different, like here's a bunch of different cable ones.
Nice. I like that. And I like that they're all in bright colors too.
Yeah. And they're all free. There's even like some flower stitch patterns that gives you like little flowers. There's a couple that are like different colors.
I see there's bobbles and nups too.
Yes, there's bobbles, nups, bubbles. I'm not going to say Google Bobble anymore.
No.
Anyway, so yeah, so it's, and then there's like zigzags and the chevrons. But I thought it's a pretty neat little website for, like there's quite a few different patterns in here. So you might be looking for something that's only a few stitches. So if you go through them, you might find some. See what this one is. Like this is only a multiple of 2 stitches,
right,
plus 1, and it's only a 2 row repeat. So that would be like easy, even if you wanted to put like a little band of that, like at the bottom of a cardigan or something, like just something to kind of make the pattern your own. But I thought it was a really neat website and gave you quite a lot of different, I don't know, different patterns that you could try out and put into your own and, you know, work your own pattern around it. So again, I will link that in the show notes as well, so that, you know, like you can go in and take a look. Like I can get stuck in there going, oh, I
it's another rabbit hole to fall down, right? For sure.
Yep. So, yeah. So, yeah. So that was, and if anybody knows of any books, like I know that I've got the Japanese lace stitch book, but those are quite involved and complex.
Yes.
I think where you might run into a little bit of trouble when you're trying to put those in a sweater is if you have to incorporate like increases and decreases in it.
Yes.
But that is a good book. And then I do have a lot of Estonian lace books, but they've got different lace stitches in them, but they're basically shawl patterns, right? So it's not a book of just specific stitches. I'm sure there must be books out there that are just lace stitches, but like I would, you know, before, see what you like first, like go into that little website and see if there's anything there that might,
for sure,
you know, strike your fancy. And
absolutely. I actually got one on Amazon a few years ago, and I think it's just like a stitch dictionary. You can type that in on Amazon if you can't find one somewhere else. Used bookstores, if you're thrifty, used bookstores are a great place to find things like that, because honestly, it doesn't have to be some trendy book or some new just released book. I'm sorry, these stitches have been around forever. And it's funny too how they're all called something different. Like I noticed in one of the pages that you had up there, it was calling it shale and old shale. And to me, that looked like feather and fan, right? So they're just called different things. But I mean, there are a finite number of things that you can do with the yarn and needles to create a stitch. So yes.
And Sarah says Vogue Knitting has a stitch.
I don't know how to pronounce that either.
Stitchionary for lace. So there we go.
Just like the one that I got for cables. They do for similar ones. So
okay. And then this wasn't a question, but we had it last week. We were talking a little bit about shorty socks, like heel tab socks. So there were a couple of other patterns that some viewers suggested that they have knit. So I just went through and I had a look at them and pulled them so you could see which ones they were. So there was one that was by Laura Nelkin, and it is called the Larch Peds.
Yeah.
Okay, where is that? I know I have a, that's the sock, but I thought I had a banner for it. Maybe I didn't. Oh, yes, I do. So that's Larch Peds by Laura Nelkin. This one, I believe, came in 4 sizes. This pattern I thought was relatively expensive for just a sock pattern.
It is a paid for pattern, yes.
It is a paid for pattern, but I thought so. But I mean, you can see there she does have the heel tab, and you can see she's got it's got a heel flap and gusset in it, and then she's got the top of it trimmed, but still on that angle without bringing it down into the. But I did that tonight. I'll show you on a different sock that I'm doing. So that was one pattern, but some viewers have said that they have knit it and they liked it. And then the other one that I found was the everyday sock.
Oh, yes. That's the one I was going to say, because I had somebody that reached out to me on Instagram and they recommended this sock. Yes.
Okay. So this one I went through and looked at it. Now there's 2 versions. So this is the everyday socks one version, and this is by Rachel Boulahanis. So this particular one, it actually comes in 6 sizes. So it goes from a 4-inch circumference to a 9-inch. So it goes from a toddler up to a men's large.
Right.
And so I believe that this pattern is $5 US, but you get all those different sizes in there. And then she's also got like another version of it, which is called the Everyday Socks 2. And this one's got a little bit of color work in it. And you can see it's got that band around the middle that kind of looks like it's knit one, purl one, rib. I'm not sure if it is or if it's just color work. But that one would also.
I think the first sock has that as well. I think you just don't.
Oh, does it? Okay.
I think you just don't see it. Like, can you go back to that picture?
Yep.
Yeah, it really doesn't show there. But I because she does talk about in the pattern. Yes, and she talks about it in the pattern though, how it's supposed to be like a compression, a little bit of compression on your foot. So
okay. But anyway, and this one here, this one also came in 6 sizes, but they were a little bit different. They started at a 5-inch and they go up to a 10. So it might be, it might start like at a child. So this one would be a good way to use that, but like it wouldn't take very much of that contrast color. So it would be a good way to use up some of your little bits and pieces of sock yarn. So we did have viewers say that they made this. We haven't made them, But I just thought that, like we've been talking about the type of socks with the heel or the little heel tab on them, and getting into summer, they're more, we're knitting more shorties than regular length socks. So I just thought I'd bring those up. So
Julia mentions too that she thinks maybe the expense of the large ped socks is in part due to the fact that there's a full how-to video that goes along with it.
Okay.
So that could be the reason too. So if you're a newer sock knitter and you're looking for some really good instruction, that might be a good pattern for you.
I mean, Laura Nelkin is fairly well known. So
yes, very well known.
Now I did look, I think that one, the large peds, there were 152 projects on Ravelry for the everyday socks, like the original version, not the color work. There were 479 projects.
I think it's been around longer. Her large ped socks only came out within the past year, I believe.
Okay.
Wendy has just mentioned that her favorite shorties, I'll pop it up on the screen so everybody else can see it, are the Sporty Shorty Socks by Kristen Clement. She said they fit so well. They do not slip down, and they have a tab as well. I didn't see that pattern when I was looking, but thank you, Wendy, for picking that one out for us too.
Okay. And Gail says she just finished the Spring Shorty Socks by KF Jones. So, there are a lot of socks out there. Like mostly the ones we were looking at were the ones with the heel tab. There's a whole lot of shorty patterns that just have the.
I've made lots, but it's this heel tab that I'm hooked on this heel tab thing right now. So,
like the ones I have on tonight, I have shorties on tonight. I'll just take one off.
Yeah, we never show our socks, probably 90% of the time when I'm sitting in a sweater, I've got socks on too.
So these are, I think this is Irene's.
Get Shorty.
And so this one actually is a toe up. Now this is stretched out a little bit, but they're staying on. Okay. This is bamboo pop sock.
Yes.
So it is mostly cotton. Heel. Yes, and this is a strong heel. So it does stretch out a little, but I find once they're in my shoes, it doesn't slip down. It's more when I go to take my shoes off, the sock comes off with it.
Same.
So, but I'm finding, and again, this is not, and that's more a factor of the yarn as opposed to the pattern, because there's not really a whole lot of stretch in the bamboo, but I like that weight for this time of year. So, okay. I think that was it for questions.
Okay. There was a question that popped in here in the chat earlier. Maria was wondering, when you do short rows, do you end up with extra stitches in the row? No, temporarily you might, because if you're doing like either a wrap and turn or a German short row, you are taking one stitch and it kind of creates a second stitch as you pull it across the needle. But when you're knitting back across it the second time, you resolve it by knitting both legs of that stitch together. So it will not change your stitch count. No. When you're doing that.
Yeah, I think most patterns with the German short rows refer to that as a double stitch. So it's just the one stitch kind of has the two legs of the stitch going over the top of your needle, as opposed to just one leg going over the top of the needle, but it is still the same stitch. So.
Okay.
Yeah, because if you will run into trouble if you go in and knit all those individually, because they are not meant to be like two separate stitches. So.
Okay. Joanne was just saying how she hates getting FO photos as well. Honestly, Joanne, if I'm being honest, I would love to just have, it's like when you do your own hair. If I could just take my head off my shoulders, I could do my hair really well. But I would really just love to have somebody else out there, and I would take pictures of them all day long. I hate getting in front of the camera. I feel like it's the most awkward thing possible to do. So I feel your pain, because I do not like doing it for sure. But I'm trying to force myself out. I try to get out of my comfort level a little bit. I felt way more comfortable doing this with my husband, because he's been doing this for a while, than I did my son, trying to find ways to look good, wearing a sweater, and he's just standing there taking the picture. So put yourself out there. And I'm not above going out with a tripod myself either and taking the pictures, but it does look a little silly. Okay.
So, we should move on here. We should move on to what we're wearing. Okay. What are you wearing?
I did make a banner for it.
Okay. You talk about it. I'll find the banner.
Okay. So I'm wearing the Garden Gate sweater by Jen Steingast. This is an oldie but a goodie for me. This This was kind of earlier in my sweater knitting journey. I knit this back in 2019. So I hadn't made a huge amount of sweaters at that point. But I really like Jen Steingass's patterns. I like the color work. When this pattern came out, I found it really appealing. I think I didn't even realize for the first little while that that was supposed to look like a wrought iron garden gate. I don't know why. Because I think in her image of the pattern, and most people who knit it, they went to a lighter color for the color work, and I went to a dark color. And then it really stood out to me. Hey, that's like wrought iron, a garden gate. So it's a pattern that I really like. I love any kind of an engaging color work yoke. And I made this, I won't go into the yarns because both of the companies, to my knowledge, no longer dye. So it really doesn't matter. But what I can say, it's fingering weight sweater, and both of the yarns were singles. And I was probably a little naive, or maybe just not knowing. I didn't stop and think about that at all. And lucky for me, the color work did work out really well, because I've heard from some people that they don't like to use a single when they're doing color work. They don't feel that the color work works as well. And it's certainly not any kind of a toothy yarn by any means. But in this case, it worked really well. And I love the speckle in the main body of the sweater as well. To me, it was kind of a unique color that was a little tricky to find. It's, you can see it up close. It is a gray base, and it has orange and navy flecks, which full circle, because it seems to be orange is all I'm knitting with lately. But anyway, I do really like the sweater, and it has kind of stretched out a little bit, maybe. It's definitely looser, I think, than when I first made it, and it's hip length. So I can wear this with pants, no problem. Fits my code, but I am really happy with the sweater. It's one that I've always said I would go back and knit again, and haven't.
We always say that.
I know.
Too many new patterns coming out. So.
There's too many things. Yes. Yeah, for sure. Okay. And you?
So mine is the Field Sweater by Camilla Vad. And I knit this last year. Yes, it was last year, because we bought the wool last June at Kawartha.
Yes.
So this is Roots and Rain Trillium yarn. I believe it was a sock weight, but it's like a thicker sock.
Yes.
Because this is I think this is knit like at a 22 stitch gauge, and it's woolen spun. So it's like you get, it kind of fills in, I guess, once you block it. Well, even when before it was blocked, it was quite a plump yarn.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. I know that it had the Rideau Arcot in it. And what was the other? Anyway, it doesn't matter, because she's not dyeing anymore anyways. But Roots and Rain had beautiful yarns, and they're all botanically dyed. So they're all naturally dyed. And yeah, so this was it just took 2 50-gram skeins for the sweater, but I didn't have very much left. Like, I basically used mostly all of it. And I figured out the length of my sleeves. Like, my sleeves are to here. Based on the amount of yarn that I had left after I did the body. I just weighed what I had left and then divided it up between the sleeves. But actually, it was actually perfect for a day like here. Like, it's cool here.
It's cold here today.
You know what? When I left London today, it was 26 degrees.
Not here.
Well, I know it wasn't. I got home and it was freezing
all day long here. Yes.
So anyways, I had a different sweater on when I was in London, but I had to change when I got home because it was cool. But anyway, yeah. So I loved doing the texture in this yoke. It was, I think she called it the grain stitch. It was a really fun sweater to,
Janice really wants to know if you had any challenges with it.
I did not.
No.
No, I didn't. So I think you just got to go through and try it. And I think if there are people, I think there's probably a lot of information that you can get about where they ran into trouble by reading some of the comments. But I found once you kind of got the stitch down, I found some of it a little bit fiddly when you got into the big grains because of the stitch itself, and more that it was fiddly and took a little bit of time to do, as opposed to being super difficult. So
And it is beautiful yarn to work with.
It
It's
is.
sad that she's not dying anymore because I actually knit socks with mine. I knit my
Mhm.
Unity socks. And I believe that pattern is for a sport weight, that pattern that I
Okay.
used. And the socks are like luscious. They're
Yeah.
so, but if you're getting 22, that's pretty much DK weight too, because it
Yep.
is a woolen spun, as you said.
But
It's so
you're
fun.
also not going to knit a sweater as tight as you're going to knit socks,
No,
right?
absolutely
So,
not.
but
So,
yeah, and there are a lot of other, she does have a lot of other designs that have this stitch pattern in it.
mhm, mhm.
So I don't know if the problem that people were having was with the actual stitch or whether it was with construction. If it was just with the stitch and you wanted to get used to the stitch, I believe there's even socks. So like you could try something smaller and get the stitch pattern down if you wanted to do that first before you went on to the sweater. But I do think there is socks in it. I think she's got a cardigan. I think she's got a vest. I can't remember what else, but a lot of it in this with this
Isn't
pattern in it.
there might even be a hat as well. I think there's mitts. Like a
There's a lot
vest.
in it.
There's
I
a
just can't
vest
remember. I knew there was a vest. I knew there was a vest and I believe a cardigan
and the sweater. Yeah.
and
I
the sweater.
think
And I think there's socks.
maybe what people were finding it tricky was the actual stitch itself.
Mhm.
And I haven't knit anything in that grouping, so I can't speak to it, but I think maybe the way the pattern was written wasn't translating for some people very well into what to do with their needles. And this is a situation where excuse me, I think it would have been super helpful for the designer to have filmed a short tutorial on the
Tutorial.
stitch
Yep.
and
Yep.
then have that there available for everybody, because I mean, she sold so many of those patterns and then
Yep.
she incorporated that stitch into so many items that I think for the sake of just ease for everybody, a short little video tutorial of that actual wheat stitch, I think would have been really helpful.
Okay.
So, okay.
Okay. So, do you have any finishes?
I do.
I do not. I do not. I do not. Too busy this week.
I made a dress this week, but I don't have it here to show. I was thinking of taking it to Knit City. It goes really well with a sweater and my Persian plum clogs that I have. So I think I might take it to Knit City. And so it's another hinterland, but then I've altered it again. So I'm kind of fine tuning my hinterlands. I'm getting into something that I can whip together pretty quick and that fits me and that I really like. And so I've made some alterations to the pattern and now I have a new pattern. It's Kelly's Hinterland pattern. And I just hang on to that. And that's what I cut off of because I know it fits. So I made that. That was finish number 1. And then finish number 2, I finished my sweater, my quill tee by Tiffany
That
Lynn.
looks so good.
I love this sweater. I don't have any finished photos, friends. Honestly, this is not even blocked yet. This is hot off the needles. As of today, I just put the picot binding on it today. So it is just finished, but I'll show you the picot edge. It's kind of hit and miss on the pattern, whether people used it or didn't use it. I really liked it. So there's that little picot edge. I think it looks pretty good.
Yeah,
it's not what am I trying to say? It's not too much. Like it doesn't feel like too much to me. So although I plan to wear it with a denim dress, so the picot binding might be completely lost. So I don't even know that you're going to get to see it. But anyway, this is a super cost-effective sweater. I made the crop length, obviously. I used the Remix Light in apricot, which I can't say enough how much I love this yarn. There will be more Remix Light projects in my future. Absolutely. I used a skein and a little less than a third. I used 130 grams to make the sweater in the apricot, and in the blue, excuse me, 13 whole grams. That's it. And the blue is, it might be called navy. I'm not really sure. They have colors. They don't have names on them. So it's color.
I know they have names, but they just,
they don't put the names on the ball band.
I was looking at it because I was.
Yeah, I remember this one was apricot, but honestly, this is the kind of yarn that I think is great for summer because there's no wool in it at all.
Yeah. Yeah.
30% nylon, 27% cotton, 24% acrylic, 10% silk, and 9% linen. So it just feels amazing on your skin. It really, really does. It's cozy. It's kind of like that sweatshirty feel. I did not get anywhere near my gauge with this sweater. So I had to do sweater math. I actually swatched. Yes, I did.
So
I swatched.
So what was your gauge?
I'm getting, I think, oh shoot. And now I've got another sweater in my head that I started. So all of the details will be on my Ravelry page. I'll get that updated. I'm pretty sure it was calling for 22 or 21 stitches and I was getting 19. So I went down.
I'll have to feel that. That's you were getting 19?
I'm getting 19.
Okay.
Yeah. So this was I swatched with 2 different needles. And I think I ended up going with the 3.5 is my stockinette. Yes, it is. It's 3.5, 3.25 on the neck. She does ask you to go up a needle size. I don't know that I really needed to, but I did bump up to a 3.75
for the color work.
For the color work.
Okay.
So I did bump up to a 3.75. I think in her pattern, she asks you to go up more than that, but I went up to a 3.75 and then I did a 3.5 for the body. Basically, when I knit my swatch, the 3.5 was the fabric I liked. So that's where I was working from. Now I know Julia is making, oh no, Julia says the gauge is 24 stitches. Okay. Thanks, Julia.
I know. That's what I was thinking. Like,
well, then maybe I got 21. Maybe I got 21.
Okay. Because I'm thinking 19. That's pretty loose for that.
It is, isn't it? Maybe I got 21. Maybe Julia remembers. Julia and I are both knitting on this on Saturday at the coffee shop because she's actually using, I believe, the recommended needles for hers.
What was the recommended needles?
I think it's Julia, help. Julia got 22.
She got 22. Okay.
22 stitches. Yes. I think it was a 4 or a 4.5 for the body. And yeah, I don't have the pattern here in front of me. So I'm sure she'll chime in. Joanne says she used a 3.75 too for this yarn.
Okay.
So I think it's because the pattern actually calls for a fingering weight. And this is classified, strangely enough, this is weird yarn. It's classified as a DK. It's definitely not a DK.
No, it's not a DK.
There's no way. To me, it's like a heavy fingering all day long. But anyway, so this was the fabric that I liked at 3.5. So yes, Julia's saying it was a 4 millimeter and 5 millimeters for the color work.
5 is,
so that was it was going to be too loose for me the way I knit. So anyway, there we go. But this fabric, and this has not been blocked. That's kind of blowing out a little bit. Sorry. But it's a pretty good fabric. I'm really happy with it. Really, really happy with it. Okay. So Isabel says, yes, my notes indicate a 3.25 and a 3.5. Yes. And then I hadn't put this in yet, Isabel, but I did use a 3.75 in the color work.
The color work.
Probably didn't have to. Honestly, I think it would have been fine to stick with what I was using. And so then also I was not getting enough rows for row gauge. So I did add a few extra rows. I added like a row in here. I have an extra row. And then here I added an extra row in total. Oh, and then here at the, at this color work, I think there was only supposed to be 1 row in between each of these. And I put 2. And then I think after that, I was supposed to knit 8 rows before the sleeve, and I knit 2 extra rows in there too. So there was a lot of trying on, but I think I have a formula down now that I'm happy with. And anyway, I love this yarn. Honestly, I just can't say enough nice things about it. And Joanne's asking if it splits. Absolutely not. I mean, there's no way to make it split. It's just really, and the neps are really nicely integrated. And you know, I'm really fussy about that too. So anyway, yeah, all good things to say. I love the pattern. What's is my
color? So Haley wants to know what the color number is of the blue.
The blue is 6949.
Okay.
And Julia is doing a beautiful one too. Hers is in like a light turquoise, and her color work is a royal blue. So really, really beautiful.
I'm thinking that I want to do one and put they have a dark purple color. I forget what it's called. Aubergine, I think. And then put the orange in.
That would be great. I have a skein of that dark purple if you're looking for it, because literally it's 13 grams of color that you need.
Or I was thinking of they've got like a nice raspberry pink would look really nice with that orange, but I don't know if it would be enough contrast.
Yes.
So
yeah.
Anyways, whatever. I don't have time to knit anything for me anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Oh, okay. So 6949 is Nightfall. Thank you, Haley.
Okay.
Yes. Okay. And I bought the yarn at Little Red Mitten in St. Thomas, and it's super affordable. I think, I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong. I think it's somewhere around $18 for 100 grams.
Yeah, something like that. Yep.
And they have
nice colors.
They have beautiful colors. I have more colors in it. I have that beautiful straw, the very light tan gold that you gave me. I have 2 skeins of that. So there's another sweater. And then I have that deep purple as well. Or if I wanted to do color work, this would look really good with that pale yellow too. Or just no color work. I think a lot of people were making, what is that one sweater? There were a lot of people making this one sweater with the Remix Light. Was it no, not the Sommer Canoes.
I know I knit what did I knit with it? The Outline Tee by Jessie Maid.
So, yeah. Do you remember
the one I'm thinking?
When we went to our first mini meetup, there were like 5 or 6 ladies there that had the Remix sweaters on. That's where I saw that straw.
Are you sure it wasn't the Summer Canoes?
No, I'm not sure. It might have been, but
I can't remember.
Kind of don't think it was.
Was it the Derosho? Derosho?
That's what it was. Yeah.
So thanks, Janice.
Yes, thanks, Janice.
So, yeah. So
there you go. Okay. That's the finishes.
Okay. Do you have any whips?
Only one.
I have 3 whips.
Okay, then you get to start.
Okay. Well, my first whip is my Lord of the Rings socks, but I finished one. Just one sock. So this is
they would look great with this. They're so similar in color.
I love these socks. I love them. I love knitting them. If I didn't have another sweater to knit, I would have been still knitting these. But so this is Ross told me how to pronounce it. Smaug socks. Smaug is the dragon. So these are the Smaug socks by Claire Ellen. So this is my pair number 5, my May pair for my this is my Advent along for this year. I'm doing socks for the whole family. So you can see that the braid comes across here. So it's super cool the way you do it. Like this braid for I think it's the dragon's tail, comes across like this onto this part of the foot. And then you start building in the scales again once you kind of get in there. So it's actually
a very relatively cool pattern.
Yeah, it is a really neat pattern. And you kind of have to pay a little bit of attention to what you're doing, but it's relatively easy. And then even some of the things she does, like even the rib is it's like a 2x2, but it's all twisted stitches in the knit stitches of it. So it just gives it a kind of different look. And this yarn is the Ultimate Sock by Malabrigo. This is the colorway Zinnias. And I would buy this sock yarn again. I mean, I shouldn't say that. I don't know how it wears. I love knitting with it. I love the feel of it.
Well, you'd buy it again to knit with it. Wearing it's not your problem. To knit with
it. Yes, wearing it. It's a gift. So no. I will find out. Rachel will tell me. But I really do like the pattern.
Oh, that one's for Rachel?
Like the yarn. Yes, these are for Rachel. She already knows.
Oh, does she? Okay.
Yes. So that one sock is done, and what is it? Are we in the middle of May? So I have another one to do by the end of May. I'll work on that.
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead.
Okay, just before we leave the Barocco Remix, Lee mentions that Paradise Fibers is an online store and they have it for $10.60.
Okay, but is that Canadian
US or Canadian? I'm not sure. And then Linda is asking if the little straw bits in the Remix prickle. Well, okay, truth be told, when I got to them, if I saw one, I picked those little straw bits out, the little bit of vegetable matter. I didn't find that much in the yarn to be truthful. I didn't pick a lot of it out.
Okay,
so,
that was US.
US, okay.
Yeah. So.
Oops. Okay. Do you want to do another one?
Sure. I am working on the Renaissance sweater. This is a sample that is supposed to be done for Knit City, which is when? A couple of days, 2 days, 3 days?
2 days. 2 days.
Okay. So all of the color work is done. The sleeves are done.
Are done.
And it's really deceiving when you look at this, right? Because like really, I only have probably about 10 more rounds to go before I do the bottom rib. But it's deceiving when you look at the length of it because your color work is coming down
into
like
the body.
Another
Yes.
like 3 inches into the body. So you look at that and think, oh, she's just done the yoke and she's still got all these stitches to go. But
no, it's quite a bit down below
yes.
the
So yeah, so I think
split.
You know, even if I'm knitting it in the car, I'll know I'll at least be to the rib. And it will be, I have like kind of piece blocked it. So I will fully kind of go through and block everything out so that all I'll have to do is kind of like, I'll bring a spray bottle and kind of press out the hem in the, and they don't need it they really don't need it till Saturday morning. So this is
right. So you've got lots of time.
Yep. This is a sample for Leo and Roxy. This is done in their 80-20 sock. The colorways are peony is the pink and the contrast color is parchment. So, and it is definitely subtle, but it does show up, but it is definitely subtle. I did use, and I'll show you in there, I did use the ladder back jacquard technique. So you can see across there where you get these long, you kind of get long sections down at the bottom there where there's none of the contrast color. So rather than carry the yarn and catch it, and you can sometimes see that poke through, you do the ladder back jacquard technique, which I use a tutorial by Suzanne Bryan to do that. And it creates a separate layer of fabric. So none of your floats or anything show through to the other side because it's a totally different layer of fabric. Yeah. And that was, I'm not going to lie, the sleeves, when you get into the color work in the sleeves and you're doing that ladder back jacquard, I wouldn't say it was the most fun I've ever had knitting. and I think partly because I really don't like small circumference needles and I was doing it on a small circumference needle. So that's part of it because I feel like even my wrist was getting sore from the way I hold it. Like I don't use 9-inch circular for socks either unless I'm doing color work. So small circumference is not my favorite. And I did the body of the sweater on 3.25 millimeter needles. But when I went and did the sleeves, because there was a lot of comment that people were saying that what they gave you to pick up for the sleeve circumference, really, they didn't think it was enough. So I actually did the sleeves on a 3.5 for the color work. And then when I got done the color work, I went back down to the 3.25. So, and then for the rest of it, it's all on a 3.25 millimeter needle. So, and it's about a 26-27 stitch gauge. So there are a lot of stitches. So, but anyway, it will get done. It will be done. So, and I am at the bottom there. I am helical knitting. So
Jana's car started. She's on the road.
Oh, good.
She's on her way. Yay.
Glad to hear that.
We're happy that we could keep you company and glad to know that you're on the road and safe. You know, it's that kind of thing. Have you ever done that? I'm sure you have with Jacqueline. I've done this with Kendall. Like if something's just not quite right, you stay on the phone with them. So this is kind of our version of staying on the phone. So we're so happy to hear that you're on your way and not stranded at a gas station anymore.
Yeah.
Take care. Get home safe. All right.
So Pat wanted to know if reversing the colors would work. I think so. Then you would have the parchment in the background and then you would have the pink color stand out. So, I mean, a lot of the ones that are done, if you go and look on Ravelry, a lot of the ones that are done are quite a bit more contrast in the colors that they've picked. And I think these, it's not so much that the two colors, if they were more solid or more even, you'd probably have more of a contrast. But in this particular case, I don't have a lot of I only have that much left of the parchment, but you can see like there's some of the, like when you look at this one, there's some of the lighter pieces that kind of are really close to that. And that's why you get the really subtle difference. Whereas if that peony color was more solid, I think you'd see much more contrast in the design. But, you know, sometimes you want something that's really contrasty and sometimes it's nice to just have that subtle effect.
Mhm.
So
Yeah,
it
yeah,
almost looks like that.
it's like low volume. Mhm.
Well, it's almost like that, that, and I guess Renaissance is a good name for it, kind of like that kind of filigree stuff that they used to have on in some of the like old churches and stuff.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
But
And it's
even,
kind of
like
reminiscent of that.
when you buy those carpets that are supposed to look old and how the
Yeah.
colors are very muted and washed out. So I think,
Yep.
yeah, it looks like that. Okay.
Okay, we have had some comments here too from a lot of people saying that on the podcast, mostly knitting,
Mhm.
she does a tutorial on the grain stitches. And I think someone else said the podcast Edible Thoughts makes.
No, that
Well,
was
was
but
that
that's on
something
something
different?
different.
Oh,
That
okay. So that was for something different.
that's how she knits her peekaboo cuffs on her socks. She said it's cute and it's similar to a tab, but different
Okay.
at the
Okay.
same time. So,
Okay. Yeah, so mostly knitting apparently has a good tutorial. I haven't seen it, but a good tutorial for doing that grain stitch in the field sweater. So,
mhm.
and
And
quite a lot of people have commented on that. So,
Nettie wants to know if we are taking any courses at Knit City.
no,
No, Nettie, we're not. We're
we're just
we're
visiting.
strictly there to be social knitting butterflies. Yeah, we're not trying to be the good students. We're just there. I used to say that about my daughter when she went to high school. She was just there for the hair and the fashion.
Mhm.
She was a good student. She was a very good student, but for her, it was all about like everything else at school,
Yeah.
not the school.
And Kim says, yes, that it's reminiscent of old linens. Yeah, kind of like that. They
Yeah.
used to have all that really intricate lace on them. So,
Mhm.
okay. So, what's your
Okay.
whip?
What's my whip? It's teeny tiny. Okay, well, like first there's this. There's this part is the whip. This is another swatch. I know it's a big one, right? But I'm swatching. Well, I'll show you what I'm making. I did cast it on, but only just. I'll work on it tonight. So I'm knitting the Sea Haven sweater by Jennifer Shields Toland, but I'm most likely going to make a short sleeve version. Um, I'm going to see how the yoke feels. I may end up doing like a 3/4 sleeve.
Yeah.
And then it would
Yep.
be, it's just, I don't know. I haven't figured that out yet. So I swatched and I'm not getting gauge. I'm getting, but I like the fabric. Okay. So in this one, I think I'm getting 21 stitches and you're supposed to get 19.
19.
19. Yes. 19. But I don't want to change my needle. I'm using the recommended needle of 4. And on this yarn, I think this is a really good fabric. So I'm sticking with this. But look, can you see those little bits of just that little bit of a rosy parchment? So this yarn is so beautiful. This is the Knitting Loft Cardi, and the color is White Rose. So you can see on camera, it's got just this little bit of a taupey pink halo to it. This is gorgeous yarn. Noelle's already knit with this, and it's 50% merino, 50% hemp. So I'm thinking this can be like a cooler spring, early fall, or summer evening sweater. And so I've got it caked up and I've cast on the neck. So I'm ready. I think I'm at the inch mark now. So now I'm ready to switch to bigger needles. Here's my whip. It's huge. It's huge.
That's nice.
But
I like that color.
I really like the color. So I think like at first I was worried that it was going to wash out on skin, but I think it's that perfect summer shade that if you get a little bit of color, I think this is really going to show, because it does show quite well against even my face, which is the palest part of me. But it's just really, really beautiful yarn. It's gorgeous yarn. So because I'm getting more stitches than the gauge, that would mean that if I were to knit the sweater as written, getting that stitch count, I would get a smaller sweater. So I've had to go up a sweater size to get a sweater that will fit me, to use this gauge. But it's so beautiful. It's so beautiful. And I love that patterned yoke. It's similar to the Deep Dean that we did with Beth McDonald Stone. It's that kind of a pattern, that sort of sampler feel to it in the yoke that I really, really like. And I know the sweater it's going to get a lot of wear. So I'm really looking forward to it. Okay.
Okay, so my next whip is, oh, and I forgot to bring over just a minute. Okay, I'll bring up the name here. It is the Diamond Lace Ankle Socks. Let's see if I have a picture. Maybe. There we go. So these are another sweater pattern. Just a minute, I have to go grab my project. But another project with a heel tab. So this one is actually a free pattern.
Oh, those are so cute.
And it's got the fold over tab. So I actually did try it using the method that we talked about last week, where you do the provisional cast on using the barber cord.
Right.
And I took a picture, but I forgot to put it in here. Anyway, I'll show it next week. But anyway, so I did do it and it did work. Now, I don't know whether it would work. If you were going to continue on knitting. Like, it worked fine for having the stitches and going around and doing your little where you knit them together. So it worked fine for that. Now, where this pattern is a little bit different than the one, the shorty, what was the other one called? The shorty heel tab sock? Shorty heel tab. So this one actually, when you do, so you can see I've got a different color on the inside, but when you do the fold over, so it gets you to do the tab, but then you do one full row all the way around before you do the bottom of the tab. So you're actually resolving all your double stitches before you go back and make other double stitches. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So then, then you can have that little poke of color that pops through. And I do have one already done. So there's one of the socks. Very nice. Now this has got a heel flap and a gusset on it, as opposed to the other one was a short row heel. Yes. So that's got the heel flap and the gusset on it. And then there's your lace pattern that goes down. Those are so cute. I love that pattern. Again, this is a free pattern. The patterns are so many row repeats. So where you run into a little bit of, you have to figure out a little bit, is because you've got to end your pattern. When you get down to the bottom here, the pattern kind of ends, like goes back to this V. So if you get to the point in the pattern where you come to this and you don't have enough before you start your toe, you'd have to do some extra rows before you start your toe. So that's just something to keep in mind, because you could either do them there, or if you thought you were going to need more, you could do them up here before you actually got into the lace pattern. Nice. But yeah, nice. I really like them. Again, Haley says they look like dragon scales. There you go. I'm all into the dragons. So this is the Louie and Lola yarn that came in the kit from Thread and Maple. Yes. 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 The kit from Thread and Maple, but it had the Louie and Lola yarn in it, which I believe was a BFL sock. Yes. For the sunshine. Yeah, for the Sunshine and Hope socks. Sunshine and Hope socks. Yes. And then that's still leftovers from my Tough Love sock by Sweet Georgia in the Rose Day colorway. So yeah, I thought they were really cute. And like the shorties knit up so fast. I mean, if I wasn't doing the Renaissance sweater, they'd be done. But so there's that started, and hopefully I'll have those done by next week. But yeah, I really like them. And I thought that the tutorial for doing your provisional cast on was good. It still gets a little bit fiddly when you have to put those all onto a needle and then knit the two stitches together. So yeah, but even if you were picking up the stitches from the cap, it was still fiddly. It's a fiddly bit. Right. Yeah, that's right. Fiddly. But it was easier because you weren't guessing where you were picking up, because you had the stitches right there. Right. So I am going to try it sometime and see what happens if you actually take those stitches and knit down, and see if you get any kind of demarcation around there where you knit down. So right at the moment, I don't know. Yeah. So Haley said, did you ever watch Game of Thrones? You did, right? Yes. Yep. She says you're the new mother of dragons. Yay. I'll let Ross know that, because he said, I may have told this before, but like, I don't know how many people have watched Game of Thrones here, but you know how Daenerys, she's constantly going into these fires and coming out naked. And I said, Ross, how many times does that girl have to go into a fire and come out naked? And he goes, not enough. Not enough. So I'll let him know that you just termed me mother of dragons. Yeah. So he'll be thrilled. Well, you'll just have to walk into the room wearing the socks and nothing but the socks. And then you can say you're mother of dragons and you've walked through fire.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did we say that? I think we said that shorty socks counted in our socks.
Yes, they do. Yeah,
Yes,
I was
yes,
going to
they
get
do,
to that.
Linda.
Yes, they
Shorty
do.
socks do. So
Yeah. Okay, a couple of little starred questions here. Haley wanted to know about the Sea Haven sweater. Yes, it is a DK. If you're looking for
she's got a fingering weight.
fingering weight, it's called the
Seashore Stroll.
Seashore Stroll, yes. And they're similar, but one is a DK, one is a fingering. So, but the one I'm doing is
because I think I'm going to do the fingering. Because I think I'm going to
Sarah did that one.
Yeah, I think I'm going to do it in one of the merino linens.
Yeah. And Diane says that she can usually get stitch gauge, but not row gauge. What do you do if you don't get row gauge? Well, it depends which way that's going, whether you're getting too little rows or too many rows. So in my case, I wasn't getting enough rows to match the gauge. So one of two things, I could have just carried on and then I would have had a shorter pattern yoke. And then I would have had to knit more rows before I got to the underarm. But in my case, I found places in the color work that I thought I could add an extra row so that I elongated my yoke pattern. So that's if you're getting not enough rows. If you're getting too many, well, you might need to find a place either, especially if it's a yoke pattern, or if any kind of a pattern where you can remove some rows out of that part of the body. Yeah, whether it's a design pattern or whether it's just, like if it's raglan increases or something like that, it might get a little bit trickier because what's going to happen if you're getting, if it's getting to be too much, like where your sleeve is meeting underneath your underarm, you could end up with way too much drop on the yoke.
Yeah.
So,
and if it's the other way around, you're going to get too much fabric too soon. Like if it's the other way around, you're going to have to stretch out your increases, like put some more rows in between them. So,
yes.
Lauren asked if Barocco Vintage can go in the dryer. And Klaska says she hangs the Barocco Vintage to dry. I haven't I don't put anything. It
says lay flat to dry.
Okay.
So it says you can machine wash it.
That's not the vintage.
Oh, sorry. I've got remix on the brain. Yeah. I feel like it says lay flat to dry too, but I could be wrong.
I don't know, but well, it's I know it's got 40% wool in it. I don't know. I'll look at a ball band, but I usually, even if it can be washed in the machine, I still usually lay it to dry. So, and Fuller Life asked if we're staying at the Westin. Yes, we are.
Yes, we are. Yeah.
Okay. MJ says you can put vintage in the dryer on low. She says she has, but I would look at the band. And again, everybody's dryer is different. So you hate to just say you can throw it in the dryer. If you were going to do that, I would check it periodically just to make sure, because once it's gone through, if it's gone through the washing machine or you spun most of the water out of it, it shouldn't be that wet anyway. So you definitely don't want to put it in there for too long. Okay. Emily says the label does say lay flat to dry. So like all of your knits are going to last longer if you lay flat to dry. The only thing that I occasionally put in a dryer and I take it out is some of the things that are 100% superwash if they stretch out a lot. That's why I tend to knit more sweaters now in non-superwash because you don't end up with that. But sometimes superwash will stretch out a lot when you wash it. So I have to put it into the dryer, at 2 minutes at a time, taking it out to check on it. So yeah.
On a low heat.
Yes, on a low heat. Yeah. So
Isabel wants to know if we're staying in the cool kids section of the Westin.
We don't know where that is.
I don't know. Isabel. We don't know where that is. It must be where you are, Isabel. You're the cool kid.
So
I like to dry my knits. I put them up in our spare room. I get that ceiling. I lay them out on the spare bed on like the my blocking mats, and then I put that ceiling fan on high. It sounds like it's going to take right off out of the ceiling, but that's okay. I put it on high and I just close the bedroom door and I leave it there overnight. And by morning, the knits are completely dry.
Yeah. And I've got a floor fan that you can direct. Literally some things are dry within an hour.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
It's especially socks. Like, I don't know why I don't block more of the socks because they're literally, if you do that, are dry within an hour.
Yes, I know. Well, I like to hang the socks and the nice weather. I just take my sock blockers out and I hang them outside on the deck, and the wind out there, it's usually pretty good, and they dry pretty quick out there too.
We have too many birds around here. I don't like drying stuff outside.
Yeah, with socks. I wouldn't put a sweater out there. And then I keep checking because I wonder, like, I'm always worried. Will my squirrels come and like take off with a sock? They're like, oh, this would be great in my nest. Look at this. I don't know.
So,
okay.
Okay. Do you have any more whips?
No.
No. That's all I've worked on. I haven't worked on any other knitting projects. So
yeah, we did a lot of, I mean, it was Mother's Day weekend. So we were busy on Mother's Day. My son cooked dinner.
My kids were all, it's been like, since it's been the Mother's Day celebration from last Friday until today. So, which was great. I've, spread the joy. Oh yeah, I have to show you. I almost forgot. This was one of the things that Jacqueline gave me.
Oh, very pretty.
So look, this is when we went, there's a pottery show that she went to, and it's got all knit stitches on it. And then it's got these two little heart buttons.
Yes, very nice.
Even the bottom of it, the way the clay is all knit stitches. So I thought
gorgeous.
That was really cool. And it's pink.
Of course, it's pink. It's got a nice handle too.
So
Rosie's going to Knit City only for the day. I hope I bump into you. Please, yes, please. If you see us, come and say hi. For sure. We want to meet everybody that we can meet while we're there. And we are going to be there. We're there all weekend. Yeah, we can't wait. So yes, please come and say hello, because remember, we don't know what you look like. We know, we feel like we know you because we follow along with you each week, but we don't know what you might look like. So please come and say hello. We would love to say hi and see what you've got going on at Knit City. See what you bought, see what you're going to make. Yeah. Okay. I don't have any acquisitions. Do you?
No.
Oh.
No. Okay. I did get a gift card for a knitting store, but I haven't even had time to spend it.
Well, there'll be, you know what?
I will.
Save it.
I will.
Save it.
I will.
It'll be fun to have something after the fact, right?
Yep. So.
Okay. So what, let's just quickly talk about our Makealongs too. Okay.
Well, we don't need to go into too much detail because there's nothing coming up before next week.
Okay. Well, then let's not talk about them at all. Let's call it quits.
If you do want to know about the knit-alongs, they're all listed. If you go to our Ravelry group, they're all listed on there. So they're basically our sock knit-along, our advent along, and our smash that stash. And there's nothing finishing up before next week. And contrary to what you might think, we're going to a knitting festival, so most likely we won't have that much knitting next week.
No, absolutely not. I think we are going to try to record a podcast though while we're there, right? We've usually done that in the past. So
that's right, Julia. It'll be an acquisition week.
Yes, it will. For sure it will. It's definitely going to be an acquisition weekend. Like, we're not going there and not buying. Let's just say that. And I have no idea. I've been asked quite a bit, oh, what are you looking for? Where are you planning to go when you get there? Like, what are you going to buy? What are your aspirations? I have none. I have no agenda.
I never know. I never know when I go. I never think about it ahead of time. I would say it's probably, I probably can't remember this sock yarn was probably the last thing that I bought that actually had a project in mind when I bought it.
Well,
most other things do not.
This definitely did. I mean, I bought this 2 weeks ago at the Mitten, but that was Julia's fault. So I blame Julia. But anyway, now that it's done, I'm thrilled.
Well, even when I do buy with intention, it usually doesn't end up being whatever that was anyway.
And also, you know what I just realized? I think this will be the first festival I go to where I'm not finishing a sweater to wear at the festival. It's done. It's done 2 days ahead of festival. You won't have to knit a waistband in the car for me.
I'm finishing a sweater that has to be done for the festival that I don't
and I won't have to be last minute knitting. And I forget what sweater it was that I was working on. I know one night I had to stay up late in the hotel room to get it finished to wear the next day. So anyway, this year I don't have that. I am good to go. I have enough outfits. I'm happy. So yes.
Okay. So we will hopefully see a lot of you at Knit City. And we wish that you all could come.
Yes, we do. We absolutely do.
Yeah, that would be amazing. yeah, so hopefully we'll get some footage and, like talk to some people and have a report for you next week. And
Yes, definitely. If you actually, if you're on Instagram and you're so inclined and you're not already following us, these are our names at the bottom of the screen on Instagram. I very likely will be posting lots of stuff from there too.
I
So
probably won't.
Noelle will not, but Instagram is where I'm socially my most active. And yes, so absolutely you will be able to follow along if you're there. And Kim says, don't forget to pack my clogs. Ah, Kim, they are in the suitcase. See, and that's why it's great when I can drive myself. I don't have to limit myself to one color. I could take 5 or 6 colors if I want. All righty.
Okay.
I think we're good. And we're
we
finishing
are.
right on time tonight.
Yes. And we hope that you all have an amazing week. Thank you so much for coming to the Knit Chat Cafe tonight and spending time with us. And we hope that your knitting brings you a lot of joy. And we will see you next week. Happy knitting.